So on our side at ClearMeasure, with decades of experience delivering mission critical software projects, we kind of know what it takes to predictably make a software project a success. But with so many teams that are still making rookie mistakes, and sadly, so many of our competitors signing up to deliver those software projects to clients and then making those same rookie mistakes, which, by the way, then the project overruns the budget. It doesn't meet the desired schedule, and it doesn't work the way it was supposed to. Our methodology, we simply call it the clear measure way. It allows for the effective oversight and leadership of a software project, regardless of who's delivering it, whether it be us or one of our competitors or one of your teams internally in your company. And so we hope you find it useful, and you'll see just a small part of it today throughout this content. But today we are focusing on agile leadership. And most of you who are listening today are in software oversight, software executives, software managers. And I think we have also a grouping of CEOs of purely software companies. So that's the audience we're focused on today. So if you're attending, listening, this is a developer, then hey, I hope you listen and learn something, and maybe you'll move into software leadership one day as well. Okay, the Agile Manifesto. Probably just by you being here, you understand what that is, and what you're seeing on the screen looks very, very familiar to you. AgileManifesto.org, the original website. Over 2 decades ago, the concept of Agile was born, and the Agile Manifesto was published, and it ushered in a really transformative era in the software development landscape. And it really emerged as a reaction in the 1990s, to the high failure rates of traditional software development processes, which were very high batch sizes. And I'll come back to that. The success of projects was kind of a rarity, and it was often plagued by those cost overruns. And what was the problem? Of course, everybody calls it, waterfall, but what was the problem was very, very large batch sizes of activities, where uh, you would think about a set of requirements, a set of software features, and documents for every one of those software features was developed painstakingly. And then that entire list of features, maybe we added some wireframes and did some user experience design on it. And then that entire set of features moved into some technical design phase where we thought about software patterns and libraries and how we would implement things, and maybe draw some UML diagrams, some way, make a lot of those decisions. The entire batch, no code is still written, months in, and no code is still being written. And then we would go into test plan design, where we would determine how we were going to test all of these features that didn't exist yet, the entire list. And then we move into uh, coding, where the code for all of those features was written. And of course, the assumption was that all of the previous decisions for all of the features in that big old list, the assumption is that we were right about all of those decisions, and it didn't have any kind of feedback cycle. And so um, when the code was written, all of the code was written, and then it would be a while before any kind of runnable build of the software could be deployed to any kind of environment for testing. And then only once outside the team testing happened did the feedback cycles kind of start. So invariably, those waterfall projects started in that fashion, and then they ended by necessity in an agile fashion with short feedback loops, but high stress because the project's already gone off the rails and it's already taking too long. And all of these assumptions that were false are coming back to roost. So the Agile Manifesto, it came as a response to to that prevailing project management style, and it basically took all of those activities and shrunk the batch size, shrunk it, and shrunk it, shrunk it, shrunk it. And with Scrum, well, Scrum really emerged as a guiding light. It kind of took the project management side of extreme programming, and it introduced, along with extreme programming, 2 week iterations. Extreme programming called the iteration, Scrum called it sprint. They introduced shorter development cycles through those, 2 week, and originally Scrum called it 1 month sprint, but it came back to 2 weeks. And the shift, it really solidified it and promoted incremental progress, or the habit in the software industry of incremental progress and adaptability. And then leaders of teams using Agile could guide their teams to quickly respond to changing requirements and user needs. And we talk about changing requirements, but really is we're making assumptions and we're making hypotheses, and then we're actually learning we're wrong. So it's not like our business customers are just changing their minds all the time. It's they're making the best decision as they can, but then as the project progresses and they see more, they realize that they're actually wrong. So they're not intending to change requirements. They're kind of getting it right at the same time. So we're shrinking the batch size. Instead of having this massive long feature list and doing one activity in the software development lifecycle, and moving that big batch size along, we're shrinking it down to maybe a set of features that'll fit in a 2 week iteration or sprint, and then doing all those activities, doing the conceptual business objective requirements, the user experience design, the technical design, the test design, the coding, the team level testing, the product management level testing, the stabilizing and deployment out to the customer in a 2 week sprint. And I'm not going to talk about the different ways that people have like implemented some of it and not some of it. That's not really the point here. But the point is that over the last 20 plus years, the industry has adopted a smaller and smaller and smaller batch size by which to deploy, by which to use the software development lifecycle. Teams have also learned from the lean manufacturing movement and adopted that into software development. And so overall, of course, throughout the industry, um, Agile's kind of evolved and incorporated those principles. Lean manufacturing started it, and uh, we also kind of adopted the concept of Kanban style boards for transparent work tracking. One of the most profound changes introduced by Agile uh, was driving the batch size down to a size of one, and adopting a Kanban style board allowed applying all of the activities in the software development lifecycle to a single feature, and then flowing one feature, two feature, three feature across that Kanban board visually, and into production into our customers' hands. So teams who have um, been the most mature on implementing the Agile mindset, implementing the Agile Manifesto, the original principles, have gone beyond Scrum's concept of a 1 month or 2 week sprint or even a 1 week iteration, and have basically graduated beyond iterations of the notion of a batch of features, and have just worked on features one at a time. And if the business has a weekly cadence, and there's deployments to the actual customers on Wednesdays and Fridays, well, you know what, that whoever's doing product management for the business, that's perfectly fine. But the software engineering group has driven down the batch size to one, and they're ready to deploy anytime product management or customer support wants a deployment. And some companies deploy every day, multiple times a day, but deploy. Most companies who have adopted Agile don't deploy every single day. The business just doesn't work that way, or it's not just quite a fit. It's whenever a customer event happens, and product management can decide. But either way, the frequency of deployment is no longer dictated by the software organization. It's decided by product management or customer support.